Hi guys, it's me Ardenly, and I want to talk about something that's that's been on my mind lately, and I want to talk about the dangers of overgiving, and I want to talk about the generosity of putting ourselves first, and specifically putting doing the work on ourselves and investing in ourselves first. um, I'm a former people pleaser, fawn type, right? I'm a fawn response type, which means I'm also I'm also desensitized, or I was I was desensitized, and what this meant is I had a really strong bent for taking care of other people before I took care of myself. So I want to start this video by saying I understand where this comes from, and I understand being stuck there, and I empathize. Um, Not being able to feel things myself made it very much feel like my internal experience didn't matter, and that what mattered was people's perceptions of me, and specifically if I could make other people feel good, feel pleasure, if I could invite them into feeling pleasure, then I got to feel it myself through their experience. That's something that Betty Martin, who created the Wheel of Consent, calls the indirect route to pleasure. I learned about that through my friend A.V. Flox. And the minute she told me about it, I was just like, oh, yeah, that absolutely makes sense and feels resonant with me. And at the same time, there are a lot of people who not only do they want to invite others to feel good or feel pleasure, but they really want to take care of other people, um, and that they see this generosity, they see this givingness, this really like coming from the heart space, and wanting so badly to take care of everyone around them, um, but doing that before taking care of themselves. And I want to talk about how dangerous this pattern is, and it's tough. This feels like it's going to be a vulnerable one for me, you guys. So just bear with me. if we're if we're giving all of our energy to people around us in such a way that it's depleting us, if we have not taken the pause that we need to set up sustainable energetic systems in our lives so we can take care of ourselves and wake up every day and serve from a full cup, which means looking into untangling our trauma, right? Calling back all of our power from the places that it's leaking out or draining or depleting us, making sure we discern and set our personal boundaries so that we're not allowing energies into our fields that are depleting us or abusing us or traumatizing us or re-traumatizing us. If we don't take the pause to do that work first, what it means is that we don't have a sustainable energy system to give from. And when we don't have a sustainable energy system to give from, we will give and give and give and give until we burn ourselves out. And not only will we burn out of that energy, but we will be subjecting ourselves to further harm unconsciously, because it's what we're used to, because we don't know how to discern against it, because we haven't taken the time to recreate a relationship of trust with our bodies such that we can see red flags and take care of ourselves. And I want to give you an example of some places where I'm seeing this happen. There was someone who wanted to do some work with me. It was a while back, and we talked about it, and I followed up with them to see if they were ready to sign up, and they said, "Oh, Arden, I can't do it. There was, I believe, like a boy in her neighborhood who was suffering an illness, I believe, and and this person said basically, I need to give my money to this little boy to to make sure that he's taken care of for whatever the health issues were that were coming up. They said, how could I possibly invest in myself or think of myself at a time like this when there is this this suffering happening out there? And I mean, fuck. How can I argue with that, right? Wow, there's a dying little boy. Yeah, absolutely, As a facilitator, if I come back and I say, no, you should invest in yourself, I mean, that makes me sound greedy, right? And so, I don't want to have to convince anyone, because whether that's really coming from the heart and that's a decision that comes from a place of centeredness and a place of really knowing one's priorities, or whether it's just a story to avoid going forward and doing the work because it's scary and it's confronting, it's still that person's free will choice to do that. And quite frankly, I felt like a dick saying, no, you should spend the money on yourself and not for a sick little boy. The trouble is, that was maybe a couple of years ago. And not too long ago, I saw just from this person's social media that they tried to harm themselves. I don't know the full details, but it seems pretty bad. And they're a person who has loved ones. They're a person who has children. And it's in these moments and these opportunities when we have this moment of opportunity where we can walk toward doing the work on taking care of ourselves and putting ourselves first. And when we get to that place, we'll be able to take care of so many people. Oh my God, you guys, we'll be able to manifest, jobs that pay us well, and that not only that we, enjoy and are doing good work in the world with, but also that will allow us to also help other people, right? And if we don't stop and take that pause, and we keep giving until we're depleted, we're gonna burn out. And we matter, you guys, we matter. Sorry, I got interrupted. I had to go and run downstairs and get a delivery. So what I was saying is that our internal experience matters, and we matter to other people. And burning ourselves out really does not serve the collective. And I want to emphasize, this is very important, it's not just about money. And I've really tried to make it work for people in terms of money when that has ever been a problem. And, I got warned about this in the business coaching world, about how having someone sign up for a big commitment and make a big investment in themselves is the thing that gets them to commit to do the work. And by charging a high price, you're doing them a favor, right? Because you're showing them, you're inviting them to prove to themselves that it's important and it's worth dedicating time to, and then they stick with it, right? And I don't want to believe this necessarily all the time, because I have seen some extraordinarily smart and diligent young people, especially millennials, especially people who are like around their Saturn return right now. I have seen them do some extraordinary work without a lot of money to spend. And I don't want to leave people like that out of the equation, So more recently, there was someone else that I was inviting to work with me who was really enthusiastic about it and who was like, yes, Arden, it's time. I'm so excited. I want to do this. And then who, hit some rough patches, and I said, and I really was so, I so wanted to be able to give them this opportunity, that I really attempted to support them through it. And I said, can you do just, $50 a month. I don't care if, you know, if it's $20 a month for now, whatever, we'll worry about it in the future. You know, this is not going to be forever. Do this now and get back on your feet, and it'll all come through. And look, now you know, like, some stuff blew up. Now you have more free time, you know, like, dedicate this to the work. And what kind of support do you need? Do you need to take this, you know, at a reasonable pace and whatever? And they deactivated their Facebook without even saying goodbye. And I know that as a facilitator, I'm not supposed to be in my feelings about this, because I don't ever, 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 ever want to emotionally manipulate someone into doing the work before they're ready. Because it's like ayahuasca. You can't just dose someone with it without them being a full, 100% full-bodied yes. But I'm just saying, I see this happening, and I see this pattern where people say, I can't do this right now. I've got to take care of this person. I've got to take care of that person. And it's not a productive decision long term. Sometimes over caretaking is just a way of avoiding the work. Just if there were a point at which you did stop to do the work, then you'd be able to create support and community around you, that you wouldn't be in this state of always needing to feel like you need to overgive in order for everyone else to be okay. You'd learn to have boundaries. You'd learn how to ask other people in your life to step up and share some of that burden. You'd learn to be able to do what you could do. And you'd learn to be able to increase your own bandwidth. This is huge, you guys. Part of this giving our energy back to ourselves is about increasing our bandwidth. The more in alignment we are, and the more creative power we have, the more money we can create in our lives, the more income we can bring in, the more time we will have for people, the more energy we can give. I make all this free content all the time because I have time and energy, because I'm not stuck anymore in a loop where I'm always like doing and, you know, surviving and paying bills and everything. And yeah, of course, this is part of my business too, obviously, you know, but I make a lot of content and I really try and be present for it and put my heart into it. And part of that is because I have learned how to sustain myself doing something that I love and that means something to me. And as a result of that, I can better take care of other people too. And that often includes giving people scholarships, giving people as much access to the work as I can. And even when I do that, sometimes they don't do it. And it just breaks my heart. And it's not because of me, you know, it's not about me. It's not even about them. It's about the fact, you guys, that we're living in a global crisis at this point, and we really need everyone to be in the best shape possible, you know? We are really trying to, I'm going to expand on this more in another video, but there's a larger context to this work that essentially involves the survival of the planet and humanity as we know it. We've got to shift from these unsustainable systems to self-care and community care, right? Sustainability within the individual that then translates to sustainability within communities that then translates to sustainability within the planet, because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. We got to figure out how to exist together and not have this depletion this ever increasing wealth gap between the 1% and, you know, well, almost everybody else, and how to not, you know, treat our planet, you know, deplete its resources and accumulate waste in all the landfills and the, you know, in the oceans and all of that. And it starts here, you guys. It starts here. Because once we have this, and we can start creating that around us too, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I see people overgiving, and I see where in the moment they're like, I should give to someone else instead of myself. That's being generous. And I understand. And a lot of us were conditioned that way, that's for sure. But honestly, the most generous thing that we can do is become a sustainable source of energy ourselves first. And then we can give all day long. So I just want to point out that pattern. And again, I have no control over people's free will choices, or whether they're ready for the work or when they're going to be ready for the work. But I'd like to see more of the new paradigm happening in my lifetime. That's kind of selfish, but I'm tired of living in the old one. Real tired. So for what it's worth, there you go. If I can support you, great. I'd love to do that. But the important thing is that it happens, one way or another. Please, please, please. Please take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.